Om Sadashivasamaramabham Shankaracharya-madhyamam Asmadacharya-paryantam Vande Guru-paramparam. So we completed the 7th chapter last time. Any questions, clarifications, any doubts? Okay, before we go ahead and start another chapter? All clear by the look of it? Okay. Then maybe I should start asking questions in this class also. Okay, get people to clarify. But before we go ahead, I also have to say that we lost a Guru Bhai to COVID last Monday. Yeah. Some of you know, in fact, anyone who has attended the last Vedic Wisdom Festival would have known Swami Omkaranandji, a very popular speaker, okay, Guru Bhai of mine, and good soul. An expert not only in Uttara Mimamsa, that is Vedanta, but also in Purva Mimamsa, the Karma Kanda section. He belonged to a family of priests before he took sannyasa and everything. Yeah. Then he studied a lot under my Guru Bhai, my batchmate, Swami Paramarthananda, and then I think the Brahma Sutras he did with Puja Swamiji. Yeah. The last time he was there for the Vedic Wisdom Festival, a very jovial figure. In spite of this popularity, like that, he's simple, easy going. Remember, he said, "My English is not very good, but next time when I come, my English will be better." His English is okay, but compared to his command over the Tamil language, yeah, he had a phenomenal command over the Tamil language. He was the right man for being in Tamil Nadu. Another 10 years, if he was there, most of the anti-religious movements would have died down. I've been strongly influenced by him. Yeah. But not meant to be, so God's will, we can only surrender to the will of the Lord. Okay. So, ready to start the next chapter? To go ahead on our Gita journey? Yeah. Okay. Now the 8th chapter is called Akshara Brahma Yoga. Yoga topic chapter. Dealing here, yoga doesn't have any other meaning, okay? So don't give other meanings to yoga here. It just means topic or subject matter. The subject matter is Akshara Brahman. Brahman that doesn't undergo any change. Okay? So the chapter starts with Arjuna asking a lot of questions. Okay? A lot of terms he wants clarity in. And it's good for us also to get that clarity. Everything cannot be put into English. Even though we try to put everything into English, it loses a lot of its meaning and its nuances when you put something into English. Okay? So here we better understand the terms as well. Arjuna vacha kim tad brahma kim adhyatmam kim karma purushottamah adibhutam cha kim proktam adidevam kim uchyate adiyajnam katam kotra dehesmin madhusudana prayana kale cha katam nyeyosi niyamatmabhihi. A lot of terminology, okay. A lot of questions. Arjuna Uvacha, Arjuna is asking, is saying, Kim Tad Brahma? What is Brahman? When you say Brahman, what is that? Don't confuse this Brahman to Brahmaji of the Puranas, okay? I heard a professor talking about it like that the other day, that's why I'm saying it. That Brahman of the Upanishad and Brahmaji of the Puranas is one and the same. Brahmaji is a personal personification of a deity of Ishvara as the creator. Where Brahman, we are talking about the reality, it is not the same. Okay? Brahman is not a person, Brahmaji is a person. So, Kim Tad Brahma? Kim adhyatmam? What is meant by adhyatma? Kim karma purushottama? Hey Purushottama, kim karma? What is karma? Yeah. Adibhutam kim proktam? When you say adibhutam, what do you mean by that? Okay. Adibhutam meaning with respect to the world. What do you mean by that? Adidevam kim uchyate? When you say adibhutam and adidevam, with respect to the bhutam, this world, with respect to the gods, what is it? Adi yajnam katham proktam, katham chotra. What is Adi Yajnaha? Who is the one that is invoked in the yaga? Adi Yajnaha. Dehesmin Madhusudana. That is there in this body also. And Prayana Kalecha Katham. At the time of death, Katham Nyeyosi Niyamatma Bihi. By a person who is a seeker, etc. How will I know you at the time of death? Relevant to Arjuna. Why? Battle awaits. Or should we say COVID awaits? In fact, there is greater chances of all of us surviving the COVID than people surviving the Mahabharata war. 90% of the people who took part in the Mahabharata war died. 90%. Among the people who are infected with COVID, less than 2% dies. Why in this class, we have COVID survivors. In this class, we have COVID survivors. People who have got COVID and survived them very well, very happily. Anyway, so this is a group of questions that Arjuna has asked. These are normal terminology of those times, but he wants clarity with respect to that. Okay? Because sometimes what happens, and this happens in all our lives, we hear certain terms. We don't really understand them. But we keep hearing it, therefore we pick up a familiarity with it. Yeah. It's a good question that has come up also, which I think I'll handle before I go into all the text, all the meanings to Krishna's answer. See, there are a lot of saints in India, like Mirabai, etc., who seems to have gained moksha only through bhakti. Then what is the need for studying all this? It's a valid question. Let us take Mirabai, for example. Okay. Why am I taking Mirabai? Because there's a lot of drama in our life. And if you look at her life, if you look at Mira's life, you can make a very clear distinction in what she sang before she got moksha and after she got moksha. I think Shravani must be very familiar with a lot of Mira bhajans. So will be Lalita and a couple of other people here. Okay. If you look at it very clear, the ones that she sang early is all about viraha and longing for Krishna. The rasa there is viraha, the one of separation. Separation from the beloved. And if you look at her after moksha, all those songs are of joy and fulfillment. Bhava sagara sab sukh gayi hai. फिक्र नहीं अब तरने की, आंख मिछौली छोड़ो अब तू मन के भासी रे. So the very nature of the songs are different. But there's a great difference between Meera, that young girl who was in love with Krishna, at 16, I think Meera's mother or someone gave her a statue of Krishna, a murti of Krishna. And ever since that, she was a Krishna Bhakt. So much so, when the Rana came to marry her, she thought Krishna was coming. Wow. Was that a true conclusion? What do you all feel? Was that true or false? If you say true, let us say Meera really saw Krishna in the Rana. Even though the Rana was a bit of an idiot. But okay. If Meera really saw Krishna in the Rana, she would have been very happy with him. Na? Why she is married to Krishna? What is the need for her to leave home? Meera bani, Bavari, etc. Gali gali Meera nachi re. What is the need for that? Krishna is there right with her at home. Ghar baithe Prabhu darshana paave. What is the need? Right or wrong? See, this is how you have to look at a charismatic figure. Otherwise, the charisma is so overpowering that, in our awe of the figure, we don't understand. So that 16-year-old Meera who thought the Rana had come to marry her, that was delusory thinking. Which Meera I am talking about as deluded? That 18-year-old girl, okay? Not Meera Bhai, the Parama Bhakta, not that. That 18-year-old girl I am talking was deluded. Because otherwise Meera would have been very happy. Then, sir, after a few years, she got out of the home. Her desire for moksha, her desire for knowing the truth, which she expressed in the language of bhakti, because bhakti was her sadhana. Remember, those days were difficult times. What is roughly the year of Meera? Century? Anyone remembers? I think the Mughal rule had just started. Yeah. So at that time, that was the time, the height of the Bhakti cult, because we were going through very, very difficult times. And therefore, emotion, surrender to the Lord, etc. was very high. So then she got out of the home. And she went to her teacher. I forget the teacher's name. One was Narsim Mehta, and there was another person. Yeah, Shalini, what do you say? I can't hear you. You are muted.
I think Sri Ravidas.
Ravidas. Yes. Ravidas. Yes. Ravidas was her. Yes, her guru. And Ravidas actually taught her. So, the bhakti prepared her mind. The bhakti that she had for Krishna, the bhakti as a sadhana bhakti, prepared her mind. So that when she went to Ravidas to learn, her learning was very fast. It didn't take much time. And remember, when you are talking about someone's lifetime, when you are writing a biography or a biography of someone, what will be highlighted? What will be highlighted is the drama in their life. No? Oh, he was a war veteran. he had served in the war, so the description of the war, what happened, and if any stories are available of that person's war exploits in the war, that will be highlighted. Okay, if he did something as a young man in terms of rural development, social development, all those will be highlighted. Similarly, in Meera's life, a lot of things are highlighted. Ranana Bija, Vishka Pyala, Piyat Meera, Hasire. Yeah, that will be highlighted because, I mean, this is a drama that is there. Her energy was so high, because of her bhakti, her energy was so high, she could drink poison and it wouldn't affect. Yeah. So that will be highlighted. She went to Ravidas to study. That will be one line. Or one para max. Maximum will be one para. Yeah. But all the others will be highlighted. Na? So we take Meera only as a bhakta. That's the problem. We are overlooking the fact that actually Meera went and studied Vedanta. What is Vedanta? You and Ishvara are one and the same. In whatever manner the teaching is given, that is Vedanta. Whichever language and all, it doesn't matter. Whether the language, sophisticated language of Sanskrit, Sanskritam, purified language. Yeah, the language itself is called itself purified, okay? Refined. Or in the language of a mochi, or any vernacular language, regional language, sorry, not vernacular is a bad term, regional language, yeah, or the language of semi-literate people, it doesn't matter. Even Urdu, it doesn't matter, okay? Yeah. Or Russian, it doesn't matter. You and the Lord are one and the same is the teaching of Vedanta. Wherever that teaching is, that is Vedanta. Yes, in our Sanskrit books, we have it very refined and very systematically unfolded so that any person walking out from the street and coming to the class in time will gain it. That's the beauty of the Sampradaya. So Meera went and actually studied. That is why before Ravidas and after Ravidas, you will find the bhajans entirely different. So it is not only bhakti. Bhakti, service, japa, puja, dhyan, dhanam, tapas, swadhyaya, all these prepare your mind. Any work you do, energy work you do, yeah, lot of yoga that you do, but the whole Ashtanga, okay, not just tying your body into knots. No, that's not enough. The whole Ashtanga, with special emphasis on the Yama Niyama of Ishvara Pranidhanam. If you are doing it that way, all of them will prepare your mind. All of them will prepare your mind. So that when you come to the teaching works fast. So all these are preparatory. Because what is the problem involved? The problem of bondage is one of ignorance. I don't know who I am. मैं कौन हूँ? बुल्ला ना जाने मैं कौन हूँ? He knows very clearly what he is not. If you look at that Sufi singer, okay, बुल्ला ना जाने मैं कौन हूँ? I am not Moses, I am not this, I am not that. He knows what he is not. But मैं कौन हूँ? So because that is a problem of ignorance, you are born with that. Look at it, the human capital that you come with. No, you have come to a tour on earth. You are on a tour here, or kya? On a holiday, on a break, or on a working, on a project. You have come here. And what is the capital that you have come with you? Nothing. What have you brought with you? Not even your clothes. Okay.
Karma phala, papa and punya.
Yeah. Because it's like going to a 5-star setup, When you go to a 5-star setup, you will just go with a small bag of your personal effects, isn't it? You're not going to carry your hold all and your bedding and your bucket and your chambu and you're not going to carry all that. Older days when we used to travel to our native place, we used to carry that hold all, Hold all was meant to hold everything. Anything that you can't pack anywhere else, you put into the hold all. It was actually meant for bedding. It was a bedroll. But it could hold everything. You don't carry that to a 5-star setup. You just go with a small bag. Why? Everything else is available there. Similarly, when you come here to the Lord's all-star guest house, you look up in the night sky. It's an all-star guest house, okay? It's an all-star guest house you come to. You come with nothing. The capital you have brought with you is your ignorance. You don't even know who your parents are. You recognize your mama by her smell. By smell meaning, yeah, everyone has a smell that the dogs know, okay? That smell I'm talking about. I'm not talking about any other smell, okay? Yeah. For the newborn baby, mother is food, source of food. That's it. Then slowly as the baby lives, it drops its ignorance about who the parents are. It drops the ignorance of its body. The baby is actually ignorant of the body. Haven't you seen babies looking at their hands for a long, long time? Putting the finger in the mouth. Why? Because that's the most developed sense organ. They'll take their toe also and put it in the mouth. Yeah, because funny, there is sensation here, there is sensation in the toe also. That means toe is also me. How? The amount of ignorance that a baby is born with is huge. And as you live, you keep shedding ignorance. And among all this ignorance, there is self-ignorance also sitting in your heart. Ignorance of who am I? Ignorance of the body, ignorance of the mind, etc. You drop. As you live and learn, you drop all that. Until you can go to the moon and come back. That much knowledge you have gained. But self-ignorance quietly sitting in your heart. Why? That is common to everyone. So nobody bothers to address it. So it's quietly sitting in your heart. So a time comes when you start wondering what is the purpose of life, what is this, etc., etc. Generally by that time, most of us have married, have got a couple of kids, etc., etc. Only then you start questioning life. You question life as a teenager. In your teenage angst you questioned. But then it got buried under all your education, romance, this, that, etc. It all got buried under. Then when will it surface again? 30s, 40s, when you had a kid, this, that, etc. And then you're starting questioning life again. Yeah. If you miss it, then in your 50s. If you miss it there, then after you retire. If you miss it, then next lifetime. Okay. But it surfaces sometime. And how will ignorance go? All your ignorance went only because you used a means of knowledge. Eyes, ears, nose, perception, inference, comparison, deductive logic. You used all these systems to gain knowledge about the world and your body, etc. So self-knowledge also requires a means of knowledge. That means of knowledge happens to be the Shabda. Because it's about I, the knower. The one that goes about using means of knowledge to know everything else cannot turn the focus on himself. Therefore, it has to come from an external source called Ishvara. A teacher is only communicator. The source of the knowledge is Ishvara. Yeah. So it has to come from an external source. So until you study that, self-ignorance is not going to go. You may be a great bhakta. You may be able to do miracles, healing, etc. One touch and the person is healed. Forget COVID. I knew this lady, in fact, I know her. Though I am not in touch with her now. During her younger days, she would lick leprosy patients. The wounds of a leprosy, she would lick it. And in a couple of days you find they are healed. They are healed. I mean, I can, without any feeling of dirt, etc., I can nicely bandage them, handle the wound, all that I can do. But lick, I will also feel, yeah, this is too much here. But this lady would, and they would heal. She stopped doing that after some years. I am talking of Amritanandamayi, okay? If she was a Catholic, she would have been made into a saint in her life, like how they did to Mother Teresa. Mother Teresa only gave nursing care. This lady would heal. But even this lady, when she needed somebody to teach Vedanta in an ashram, called one of my juniors to teach. Yeah. Chandru was his name. I forget what his monkey name is. I knew him before he became a monk. Yeah. He called him. Why? Because she recognized the value of systematically unfolding a pramana. She recognized the value of it. Yeah. Even people like Narayana Guru and all. In fact, there are some very wonderful books come out of Narayana Guru's ashram. Yeah. Though he is more known for his social work in Kerala, but there are some very good Vedanta books that have come out of it. Similarly with every person. Yeah. If you look at the Sikhs now claim they are a separate religion. Okay. Ek Onkara Satanam. That's how it starts, no? The Japji starts like that. There are some Punjabans here, right? Who will know that. Ek Onkar, Ik Onkar. Because Ik is in Sikhism you will put it. In Punjaban you will put it like Ik Onkar, not Ek. Ik Onkar Satanam. Then Nirbhayar is this thing, all that thing goes on. Ekam Sat Omkaraha Tasya Namaha. The Upanishad, Mandukya. One reality, Omkara is the name. One Sat, Omkara. One Omkara. What is it? Sat existence itself. Identical. And in that verse, Nirbhay, fearlessness, etc., Nirvayar, nothing opposed to it, all that is there. But the last term is beautiful. Guru Prasada. Meaning, Guru Prasadena Labhyate iti. You will gain it only from the teachings of a Guru. Why? It's a pramana. It's a pramana. Yeah. So, the importance of learning, the importance of a pramana, all bhaktas have highlighted. All bhaktas have. Yeah. Ek Onkar Satanam Karta, the creator. Purak, the one that fills up everything. Nirvayar, the one that is free from everything. Yeah. All that. Ajuni, okay, that which is there, past, present, future, etc. Hoi bhi sat, hona, all that. The whole thing is like that. I taught that once, to a group of Sardars. I took that text once, some years ago. That's why I remember some of it. It was very, very years ago. Yeah. Many years ago. Yeah. So, whichever it is, all bhaktas. And all the Sikh gurus were great bhaktas, okay? They were warrior saints. They were warrior saints, warrior philosophers, okay? Because the times were like that, they needed to be like that. Yeah. You know, these things are not highlighted. Okay, I'm digressing a little bit, but I think it's important for you all to understand our background and culture. You know, because of this propaganda by the Congress party that it is ahimsa that won us independence, ahimsa that won us independence, which is true. Ahimsa played a great role in it, okay? Hats off to Gandhiji. He was one person who learned to weaponize ahimsa. A big thing. I respect him for that, okay? But they also forget that on one side you are having a person who is propounding ahimsa and willing to be friendly with the British. On the other side you had somebody who is willing to fight the British on their terms. I'm talking about Netaji, Subhash Chandra Bose. My grand uncle was a major in his army. Okay, yeah. In the INA. Okay. So, these two sides. And the INA, after World War II, gave a call to all the Indian soldiers to revolt against the British masters. That was the last straw that the Britishers could take. They said, if this happens, we are finished. We have seen what happened in 1857. We barely managed to contain it. We have seen the ferocity with which the Indian soldiers have fought in World War I and World War II. If they turn against us, there is nothing we can do. We will not be able to hold. We will all be slaughtered. The same argument was used for the surrender of the Pakistani army in today's Bangladesh. Yeah, by Colonel Jacob. Anyway, I don't want, this is, one has to understand this. But the whole thing, now the Congress sidelined Netaji and his contribution. Because they wanted to claim the fruits of power against what Gandhiji said. Gandhiji said, disband the Congress, form fresh parties on the basis of ideology and fight elections. The Congress didn't want to do that because now we got independence. So because of this ahimsa stuff, we have forgotten our heroes. What are the sadhu akhadas known for? Oh, Kumbh Mela, they created big problems. Kumbh Mela, they had written to the government of Uttarakhand saying that whatever you decide, we will abide by it. Whatever form. If you are saying no Mela, we are willing for that as well. That doesn't come into public. We had made a suggestion that the Kumbh Mela should be allowed only with the head of each akhada and 20 of his devotees. That's it. Go have a dip, gap between them and the next akhada. So only 20 people, like a funeral or a wedding of 50 people. Government didn't follow it. Anyway, they are blamed for the Kumbh Mela. But you know, every time when Mughals were overrunning Indian society, it is the akhadas that stood up for them. There are cases where 3,000 akhada soldiers routed Mughals' army of 30,000, 3 lakhs, etc. History is full of them. But who studies that history? The only history you know is Mughal history, right from Humayun to Alauddin Khilji. As though only Mughal history is modern Indian history. In Greek history, the 300 is highlighted so much. Spartans, 300 Spartans is highlighted. But in Indian history, unfortunate. It was high time we take a fresh look into all this, okay? Just to understand our own traditions and our culture. Otherwise, we'll become namby-pamby, good for nothing Indians. which is what we have become already. If there is trouble in the country, you will all want to migrate to USA. Too many reservations in Tamil Nadu. So what happened to all the Tamil intellectuals? They are sitting in USA, contributing to the development of USA. What about our country development? Okay. Anyway, that apart, I am not making political comments. I am just taking a sidelight. Now, these questions that Arjuna asked, I took off from the question of bhakti. Therefore, bhakti becomes very, very important. Yes. Okay. But bhakti is an emotion. Understand this. And this emotion needs to find expression in your lives. Exactly like, let us say, here is this young man who has married the girl of his choice. There is a couple very much in love. Okay. Both are working. I mean, today's world, both are working. So the wife came home earlier. So she started making preparations for dinner. Then the husband walks in within a few minutes. And naturally, as soon as walking, I love you, sweetheart. Oh, I love you too. Fine. Good. Acha. Then, now she's busy, okay? Chopping vegetables, etc. And he keeps telling me, I love you. I love you too. You know, isn't that piece a little bit big? Yeah. Okay. Chop. Chop. I love you. Chop. Love you too. Chop. After half a dozen times, what will the girl tell? Go hang yourself with your love. Or help me by doing something, na? Wash those utensils. Lay the table. Heat that oven. Do something, na? Saying, I love you, kitna bolega baith ke? That type of love will die in the pots and pans of the kitchen. Unless with that love, he does something to help her. That love finds an expression in action. And by action, I don't mean only in the bedroom, okay? That's important. And the action outside is also even more important. Yeah. Or he comes home and gives a bouquet of flowers. Oh, so sweet of you, nice. But then, she has to put it in the vase. Among all her cooking. You can't even do that much? Ye kya baat hai? So, similarly, bhakti, it has to find expression in action. With bhakti, when you do your karma, it becomes karma yoga. With bhakti, you do anything else. You help people, it becomes seva. With bhakti, when you sing, it becomes divine music. It becomes a worship of the Lord. Yeah, it's with that emotion you do. With bhakti, you study the Gita, moksha is yours. With devotion. And the expression of devotion is highly individualized anyway. Yeah. If singing is your forte, you will express it in singing. Yeah. If something else, what will express itself like that? The expression will depend upon your personality. What is it that you are highlighting? Yeah. Like look at, okay, since I am on the topic of bhakti, I should clarify this completely. Who was the greatest bhaktas of Krishna? Arey, gopis, without gopis, where is Krishna? Where is Krishna without the gopis? Correct? It is very evident. Gopis' love for Krishna was very, very evident. Barabar? I mean, everyone personally had a relationship with Krishna. The only problem they had was they had to share him with everyone else. That is the only problem they had. No other problems. What about Uddhava's bhakti to Krishna? Uddhava was a relative of Krishna, okay? Uddhava had bhakti, but not like the gopis. You know? Then you should know the story, okay? The story is connected to Draupadi Swayamvara. Krishna has organized it so that the Pandavas can make a great entry there. They can come back to life. They are all missing in action. They are all taken for dead. After that house of Lak was burned down, so they decided, Krishna organized this. And Krishna is waiting, where the hell are the Pandavas gone? He is scanning the audience. His warrior eyes are scanning the audience saying, Kidhar gaya hai log? Kidhar chupa hai? So Satyaki sees him. Satyaki was his friend and student both. Okay. Tells Krishna, don't worry. If the Pandavas don't come, I will enter. Because he was a great archer. So Krishna smiles and says, Satyaki, this test I have made, you cannot pass it. Only Arjuna can. So Satyaki keeps quiet. Then Uddhava says, don't worry, I will enter. So Krishna with a smile turns to him and says, Uddhava, if Satyaki cannot do it, do you think you will be able to do it? I know I can't do it. Then why will you enter? I will pick up that bow and drop it on my head. The weight of the bow will crush you, you will die. Exactly. If I die, for 13 days, no ceremony can take place. You have the time to find the Pandavas. What is this bhakti? Is this bhakti or not bhakti? So that Krishna's plans can work out, this guy is willing to throw his life away. My God. And you still say that the gopis had more bhakti? The gopis only had to make love to him. This guy is willing to put his life on the line. What about the soldiers in Krishna's army, his Narayani Sena, who said, before the arrow will reach Krishna, it has to pass through me. Where Krishna leads, we will follow. You are risking your family, you are risking your life, you are risking your limbs. What about that? Bhakti nahi hai to kya hai ye? If this is not bhakti, what is bhakti? But somehow in our minds, either bhakti is bhajan singing or puja path. It depends on which part of the country you come from. North India will become bhajan singing. South India will become pujas and homas. Bhakti is that emotion behind that action. Okay, understand this. Bhakti is the emotion behind that action. Yeah. If you understand that, the big picture is very, very clear. And since it's an emotion, a great noble emotion, it is love for the Lord. Love for the Lord is bhakti. But love for the Lord cannot be there unless you have some understanding of Ishvara, isn't it? Now look at it. It's a very funny situation. Where will you understand Ishvara completely? Only if you come to Vedanta. Ishvara completely you will understand only if you come to Vedanta. But you need bhakti to get your mind ready to be a karma yogi, to be a bhakta, karma yogi, etc. You need some bhakti. Abhi kya karega? It's a catch-22 situation. If you understand Ishvara, you have bhakti. If you have bhakti, you will understand Ishvara. Your mind is ready to understand Ishvara. So this is a catch-22 situation. Correct? How do you get around the problem? That's why we had the Itihasas and the Puranas. Stories. Itihasa is history, okay? Ramayana, Mahabharata are like history. Others are stories. The Puranas, including Bhagavatam, okay? Why? The Lord is presented as an avatara based on what he has said in the Gita. He is presented as an avatara and stories are woven. He is such a heroic figure that you cannot but have devotion. Love for the Lord is devotion anyway. What is bhakti but love for the Lord? If it is to another human being, you will call it love. If it is to the Lord, you will call it bhakti. Your emotion is the same. If for the country, you will call it bhakti, patriotism. Emotion is the same. So, you create these stories, okay, based on certain historical facts, and you present Ishvara in many ways. Because according to what is in your psyche, you can now have some basic bhakti. That's why we find so many presentations. Shiva, Adi Yogi, remote, inaccessible, all powerful, Mahadeva. Wow, awe-inspiring figure. Krishna, fun-loving, that, etc. Wow. How can I not love him? Rama, the straight and narrow path, self-sacrificing, never disturbed by anything. Wow. Hey, all men. There is no mother figure. You want ladies? Okay. What do you want? Amazon warrior, Durga. Gentle mother figure, Lalita. What do you want? What type of you want? Yeah. All nice, everything nice and beautiful, prosperity, etc. Lakshmi. Or all knowledge, etc. Saraswati. You even have the dark side. Ghora, Ghora, Terebhyo Namaha. Who is Ghora and Aghora? Beyond what is Ghora. The Aghoris worship Lord Shiva like that. Bhayankaraha, Bhairavaha, Kala Bhairava. All those people who seek high energy, etc. worship. I went to the Pashupatinath temple. There at the side of the temple there is a Kala Bhairava Murti, Pratishtha done. So there was nobody there. So I walked in. I said, wow, the energies of this place are good. So I said, let me try some of my energy work breathing. See what the energies will be. Normally I do 18 of those breaths. Okay, 18 times I'll repeat that breathing, particular breathing. I did 3 and I felt that's all I can take. The energies are so high, I said more than 3, my body will not be able to handle it. Years ago this was, about 15 years ago, yeah. Now my body may be able to handle 9. But the energies, Kala Bhairava. And with his consort Bhairavi, Smashana Tara, fierce forms. Depending upon what you love, here, there are enough stories and all available. Why? Depending upon your psyche, the bhakti will come up. That means what? The more refined your understanding of God is, the better your bhakti will be. Now your understanding of God is based on your psychological maturity. You start with being very God-fearing. Why? That's the lowest level. You are a reactive person. You can respond only to fear. That's why they say God-fearing, God-fearing. That's the lowest level actually. Then a little bit more loving, etc. Then it goes on. Then you're more proactive, etc. Height is what? Understanding Ishvara as a cosmic order. That's what we are going to do in this text, in this chapter. Understanding Ishvara as the whole cosmic order. And finally, there is neither Ishvara nor me, there is only one pure consciousness. बस इतना ही बात है. Bhakti has fulfilled itself now through knowledge. Because what is bhakti? Love for the Lord. The more you love, the more identified you feel, isn't it? You love a friend. Hey, you will stand by that friend. Why? Because you feel a certain identification. You have a partner in life, you feel even more identified. With your child, etc., you will feel even more identified. So the more you love, the more you feel identified. So when is absolute oneness? This is called Parama Bhakti, absolute Bhakti. That is not a result of an emotion, that's a result of an understanding. Because all emotions are result of your cognition. Thinking creates feelings. So when you understand, there's only one consciousness. There's that absolute feeling of oneness, that is the height of bhakti you are capable of. That is what Meera achieved when she said, Aankh mi chauli chodo ab tu man ke basi re. All this hide and seek with me, drop it. You and I are one and the same. Man ke basi, you stay, you are in my heart as one, as me. You are in my heart as me. Man ke basi. That is because of Ravidas. Yeah, that's because of Ravidas. So when you fulfill that, so in a way, Vedanta will transform your sadhana bhakti into what we know as Parama Bhakti, absolute bhakti. That is why in the 4th chapter he said, 4 types of devotees, remember? One who prays to the Lord only when there is problems. Arthi. One who prays to the Lord when there is problems, plus he wants things. Artharthi. Jignasu, one who wants to know the Lord. Jnani, the wise person. Jnani tu atmaiva me mataha. The Jnani is myself. Forget about him. Don't even discuss about him. So all that is part of the bhakti tradition. This is an important, I thought about dealing it elaborately because this question is important and it troubles people. Because when you look at all the saints, they are all bhaktas. Yeah. Because the saints were vocal, you know. They went around, they sang the glories of the Lord, etc. So they are remembered. What does a jnani do? Sit down quietly and teach the Gita somewhere. Correct? Yeah, sit down, teach the Gita, Upanishad, etc. No drama. No drama. Yeah. So, we started by seeing the question. Okay? The question that is there, we started by that. Okay? To see a general understanding of the words, okay? When he says tad kim tad Brahma, he is talking about Brahman as the reality, okay? Brahman as the reality. Kim Adhyatmam. What is Adhyatmam? What is that Brahman with respect to me? That's what he wants to know. You hear a lot about people talking about karma, 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 karma. What is the basis of that karma? There can be a lot of nuances, but I want to know fundamentally what is karma. What is that Brahman with respect to the world? What is that Brahman with respect to the higher things, lokas, etc.? What is that Brahman with respect to a yaga, a worship? What is that Brahman with respect to this body? Because you say that Brahman has made this body alive. What is that life in this body? Okay. And of course, at the time of death, how will I know you? Even if I am coming to this at the time of death, I have not had much time to study. I have got one foot in the grave. Okay. Then what? What is the last thing I can do to gain this knowledge? What is the last thing I can do? All these are the questions he wants to know. And Krishna starts off with a bang, okay? Great answer he gives. But that answer we will see next class, okay? I hope all of you have got the info about what we are doing tomorrow. Okay, all of you got it. The link, etc. is all there. In the email also the link is there. I put the link up in the class also. For those who are interested, on Monday, there is an organization called the Advaita Academy. They are all for promoting Vedanta and everything. So they have requested me to speak. So normally I speak scholarly subjects there because there are some scholars also present there. But this time they wanted me to speak on something very simple. I said, Swamiji, I heard that you can talk, you can simplify things very nicely, so we want you to do that. So they given me a topic, how Vedanta is unavoidable for everyone. I said, okay, I'll happily speak that. So that is on Monday. If you all are interested, I'll put up a link in the groups. Okay, yeah. Monday evening, 7 o'clock or something, 7 to 8, 1 hour. Yeah. I'll put up the link in the groups if you all are interested on that. Okay. So tomorrow I'll put it up. Because I don't want you all to confuse the Shankara Jayanti celebration link that we are doing tomorrow with the other one that we are doing. Okay. So I'll put it a day later so that you don't get confused about it. It's in the evening anyway. So, okay. Those of you are free, yeah. Okay. That is it. So, good place to stop. Okay. Have a great day. The evening is still young. Night is still young, as they say. Okay. Hope that's